Here we are back on our first, not back. We are on our first Thursday at 2 o'clock time slot. Fixed Ops Mastermind. I am here with my guest, Austin Conroy, Justin Pomeroy, and Wendy Reeves. We had to have one person without an OY at the end of their name on the panel, and that was Wendy, our esteemed guest. And so we are here today to talk about career paths. Before we jump into the show, want to give a shout out to our sponsor for this week. This week's Fixed Ops Mastermind is brought to you by Parts Edge. Your parts department is the backbone of your dealership and is responsible for nearly half of your total profits, according to NADA. Our system works within your DMS for a hybrid approach that combines the precision of automation with the nuanced decision-making of parts experts. Thank you very much, Parts Edge. All right, and so we kick off the show here. Again, we are talking about career paths. So important in this industry. Justin, we just lost Justin's feed. Oh, he just came back. It is so important in this industry for people to understand that this is not just a job, but a career. Right? There are a lot of places that you can go within the dealership to start at the very, very bottom and move to the very, very top. I've told this story before, but I worked at a 6-car dealership that was owned by a former technician at one of those stores. So, and he didn't start as a technician. So started below technician level, moved himself up, and eventually bought the 6 stores. So it can happen. It still does happen in today's day and age. And so we're going to start out with the first question, which is, what are some of the specific challenges that professionals in fixed ops face when it comes to career advancement? And so we can answer that question from the standpoint of both where we're coming from as the leaders in the business, but also what are some of the challenges that we have with explaining career paths to some of our younger members of the team. And Austin, we'll start with you.
Nice. Well, first of all, Dave, thanks for having me on. I think we were talking about how elusive you are. We tried to connect at NADA, but glad to be here. So
I'm big, but I'm quick.
That's right. So yeah, what I've seen, and I'll answer both sides of that question. So from a dealer perspective, I think a lot of times we're hurt because we don't really have a clearly defined career path. I think there's some roles within fixed ops, like a technician, for instance. You do have a very clearly defined path in terms of tenure, ASE certification, manufacturer certification. But some of these other roles, I think, are a lot harder to define what an actual career path looks like, right? So I think that's one of the challenges we have as a dealership. And then I think the employee side of it, I'll put it simply, I've been in the business for a little over 7 years now. And I think the biggest part I see is people just exit too early. This business, car business, retail in general, especially in fixed operations, when you look at the technician role, when you look at the advisor role, these are extremely emotionally, mentally demanding roles that, can really wear people out. So I think being aware of that as a dealer to help, our employees make sure they're getting the time off that they require, make sure that we're scheduling them to where they're working a, amount of hours that's going to help them balance like work and family life. But yeah, unfortunately, I think that's it for me is, from anybody who's in fixed ops as an employee, just hang in there. I've seen people quit 6 months, or a year or two early before they get the opportunity for advancement. So.
And sometimes that's part of the problem is them not understanding what's coming up.
Yeah.
Right. And that's and as we face a generation that came up with video games that you level up, mm-hmm. Right? Sometimes 6 months, a year is too long of a time span for them to level up. And so you've got to have those micro levels in there in between to help them move along. Justin, over to you. Same question. Challenges.
Challenges are you become really good at something, right? And so a lot of times in our world, the general managers, the GSMs, and so on and so forth are people who grew up in variable, right? Very seldomly do you see a fixed guy come through the ranks and show the desire to go into the variable side. It is, for some people the hours are a little bit difficult to they're not palatable. So you have these 14 to 16-hour work days where in fixed operations, you are able to have those days off that sales is usually open for, and so you have to pick and choose what you want to do, and you have to be candid with whoever it is that you're talking to as to what your aspirations are in your career, in your life, and so forth. And so sometimes, I think on the end of, not being transparent on what you plan to do in your life and what you plan to, be in your career path, will keep you from that opportunity. And then secondly, if you do excel greatly in one, arena, sometimes that can, it's very hard to replace a great fixed ops guy. It's hard to reteach that all over again without having the fear of going backwards in that department. And that can sometimes be, a blessing and a curse in itself. So, which I hate, because no one ever deserves to be held back because of, they did too good of a job. So you just go through that together and you say, look, anytime I've ever wanted to take a next step forward, right, it's the conversation of have you trained your replacement? And if you haven't done that, then, that's where we start.
Yeah, that's a great point there, right? And that's some of the fear, though, also, isn't it, Justin, of training your replacement?
Sure.
People get fearful of, well, if I train this person to do my job and they're better than me, then what happens to me? Where do I go?
I've always come from the mindset that if I can make everyone as good as me, I'll never have a hard time finding a job.
There you go. I love that. All right, Wendy, we are going to switch up questions for you because I think this one fits you perfectly. What role does mentorship play in helping professionals navigate their career paths within fixed ops? And on top of that, how do we implement that? And how is that becoming part of other people's career paths?
It's a perfect question for me. Yes. And the first question, I think the guys answered it perfectly, by the way. And those are definite challenges. And some of the challenges that are encountered, I incorporate into my mentorship. So first and foremost, in my mentoring, and of course, I'm going to put a BDC flair on it, but I work with a lot of fixed ops directors and COOs that are looking to restructure processes within the service department, especially with regard to BDC operations. And the reason I hesitate there is because it's not only outbound retention campaigns and inbound appointment setting, but it's all other things, and let me go off on a tangent for a minute. We started a community that ties in about 8 months ago called The Human Side of AI, and everybody and everything I've encountered in people and process and AI, et cetera, since then kind of gives me great new perspectives on how, whether you're talking about your tech stack or you're talking about career advancement, whatever you're talking about, or you're talking about advancing and promotions within your departments, we have to make sure that our people and our processes are tight first before we do any of the rest of that. So in my mentorship, we just hired about 40 agents that I've been really heavy and thick in the training of. And first of all, I do a lot of mindset and perspectives training. I think that we have to understand and we have to change hats with every role in the dealership and look at all the different perspectives if we're able to know how we can complete the picture or complete a service in the ultimate customer experience that's going to benefit both the dealer, the customer, and whoever's providing the services. So that said, mentorship is so very, very important because you have to, from my perspective, being an OG in the car business. I mean, I opened my first sales and service BDCs in 2006, and I had the benefit of being with a large group in Wisconsin on and off for like 30 years. So I've seen a lot of the different climates, and I've seen the mentorship within the stores and the lack thereof. and I've seen the inability to see a clearly defined path to the first question, which still exists in many respects. So how important, I have to cheat. What role does mentorship play, and how do I implement that? So I have so many people that come to me in my inboxes and they say, you know what, I'm a BDC agent, and I really, a lot of toxic environments out there. And they say, you know, I really want to do this. I really want to open my own call center. I really want to do this. I really want to do that. I think mentorship is important in that we have to encourage our people. First of all, we have to grow leaders, right? Whether there are paid employees and we're training as part of what we do, or whether we're mentoring somebody with desires or passions to further their fixed ops careers, we have to educate them as part of that mentorship and be apprised of what's going on so we can help them to realize different opportunities. But at the same time, we have to examine and we have to coach them on their current skill set and help them to determine which part of their skill set they really would like to develop, what their passion play would be, what really gives them, what makes them want to get up and go to work in the morning. So I don't know. I can go for hours, Dave, but does that make sense?
It absolutely does. What I love that you talked about there was mindset. And I don't think it's something that's talked about enough in fixed ops, probably not in life in general. But there are some people that just believe that whatever skill you have, whatever you were naturally born with, that's it. Like there is no level above that. You can't learn anything new. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And so if you can take that and use mindset, use a growth mindset, as Carol Dweck put it, to believe that you can learn anything and do anything, it opens up a lot more opportunities for you in life and within the dealership, because there are a lot of opportunities within the dealership that aren't just in the service lane or at the service desk or in the parts department. So thank you, Wendy, for that. Austin, we're coming back to you, asking about learning and development, and not just from the leadership standpoint, because at times, us as leaders, typically we're always trying to learn something, right? We always want to learn something new, and that doesn't necessarily line up with everybody on our team. Not everybody on our team is of that same belief that they want to continue to move up the ladder, right? It's not always a career ladder. Sometimes it is a career lattice where you might be going sideways, you might be going diagonally, you might even be moving back down if you wanted to try something different, something new. And so how important is continuous learning and understanding your team's point of view on learning and development?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a great quote by I think it's credited to Harry S. Truman. You know, he says, "Not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers." I think I said that right. But you know, that's one where there's a lot of different ways to get information. There's a lot of different ways to learn. So, you know, for me, I'm not much of a reader, right? But I have always gotten my information, whether it's, you know, from LinkedIn or from Twitter or from reading some industry, you know, some magazines, or I heard this from this guy, or I asked this person. So, you know, I think continuous learning to me, there's two ways you're going to go at any time. You're either moving closer to where you want to be, or you're moving further away. It's very, very hard to stay stale wherever you're at. And if you are stale, it's not going to be for too long until you start moving backwards, right? So for somebody, you know, continuous learning, I think, shows a few different things. It shows that you care. It shows that you want to progress. It shows that you want to achieve. And it's going to help you from getting stuck at those points in your career, right? And I think that, you know, it doesn't have to be fancy. I think it's just this daily reminder that, hey, I want to get a little bit better today, and I want to make the team around me a little bit better today. And, you know, quite frankly, those are the people that, you know, as a leader, and especially in fixed operations, those are the people that I'm looking to recruit and looking to promote too within our organization. So, I think it's at the end of the day, just demonstrating a level of passion and commitment to your career, no matter how you get that information, whether it's reading books, looking up something on the internet, connecting with industry professionals like we're doing right now.
Awesome. And so, Austin, in your organization, are career paths something that are physical? Is it something that's actually written out where you can sit down with an advisor, a porter, a technician, and say, hey, where do you want to go in the future? And okay, that's where you want. This is where you want to end up.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the steps. Excuse me. Here are the steps for you to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, here's how I answer that. I think it's, full transparency. It's kind of like I mentioned before, the technician role is very easy for us to define, and we have very well defined that with a technician career path that we have. There's pay scales, there's classifications levels, down to the manufacturer. We know, hey, here's what you need to do, how much time you need to put in before you move up. Some of these other roles, quite frankly, like let's look at a service advisor role. Who knows if I'm going to have a management position open at a certain time frame, right? There's not as many roles as you move up within the organization. But what we can do and what we have done is develop, sets of minimum standards for a role. And then also, hey, these are the actual goals and expectations that we have for you. So me as a leader, what I do is I look for those that are great culture fits for us. And also, good performers. They don't have to be the top performer, to be honest with you. They're a great culture fit. They're a good performer. I'm going to sit down with them and discuss their goals and try to define that just with them on a one-on-one standpoint. And really, it feels like my conversations, they always go back to just hang in there. I never know when I'm going to have an opening. This week is a perfect example of it. I had somebody that, put in a notice that they're going to be moving back to their hometown in Ohio. And hey, I got a role open. So let me tag in one of these guys that I've been working with over the last few months.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Justin, a 2022 McKinsey study showed that lack of career advancement and lack of career development was the most common reason given for people quitting their previous jobs. And so at Foundation, what are you guys doing to prevent that, to always help your people grow?
I consider myself a fisher of men, if you will. Like sometimes it's our job to, when you get to a certain point in your career, I always say that the larger your title, the more people you work for. And so when we go in stores and we see the people that, are conducting business within our dealerships on the daily, it's one of my things is to constantly observe, acknowledge, and look for something that is in a person or in you people in general that you're meant for more than what you're doing, and just, whether it be an advisor that's really a recluse, or that say, hey, have you ever thought about getting into parts? I see that you're not really comfortable dealing with people. Or a technician that's really this overly bubbly person. Like, have you ever thought about mobile? Or have you ever thought about being an advisor, growing them outside of something that they wouldn't have recognized or even considered for themselves? Maybe because it's self-esteem, maybe because it's, they just don't think that they'd be a good fit, but then maybe coaching them into believing that they're able to achieve something that they wouldn't, in normal case, or without me pushing them outside of their comfort zone to consider for themselves, for their family, and for their career. And so I always just try to identify people who may be in a position that may not be suited for them, or someone who's in a position that, may be suited for more. And so I always try to have those conversations with them, like, are you happy with what you're doing? Are you happy at home, with the time that you're spending here, the time that you're giving to me? And is there a return on investment with that time that's, satisfactory to what that time is? And so, just going through that with them and being open and allowing them to feel that they can talk to me. If something does arise, it may not be today, it may be 2 weeks down the road, but being, very even keel, shoulder to shoulder with the staff, and making sure that they're comfortable if they need to reach out to me, or if they do find that they want to go do something else. I'd rather have that person move around in my department or within my company than to go work for someone else. It's costly. And we usually typically do a decent job, interviewing. So at some point in time, we thought that you were worthy, and you thought that we were worthy of having you. And so I always try to, give lateral movement if it's chosen, or if, we're leaving somewhere, like, hey, if there's anything you need, training you want to go to, don't be scared to voice that. I will always invest in you. And if there's more to be had, then I want you to have it.
Yeah, it's a great point, right? You hired them for a reason. I used to always say that to my team at the dealership. I brought you here for a reason. If that reason was to be a service advisor and now it's not a great fit for you, then let's figure out where you can go from there. Because as Austin mentioned, you're typically hiring for culture fit first, right? And from there, you can train the position, whatever position that might be. All right, before we move on, we are going to do our quote of the week. Quote of the week. I've always want to become better. If never being satisfied is a problem, then I have it. At least it is a good problem. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is our quote of the week, and that is brought to you by Radiant Ride. Get to know Sticks. If you don't know them, you need to know Sticks at Radiant Ride. And next week, I'll have a quote with a name that is a little bit easier to read. And I picked that myself. I put myself in that position to have to read that name. He's a Swedish professional soccer player. All right. So I think the quote goes along with what Justin said earlier, of just trying to always continue to train his people. And if he can train them to be better than he is, then he's done his job well. And so now we move on. And Wendy, again, this is a question that I think suits you perfectly. What advice do you give someone who is just starting out in fixed operations? And I think your company is a company who is going to get people who are just starting out in fixed ops, right? And this might be their first stepping stone to a long career within the industry. So what's some of the advice you're giving to people as they're coming into the industry, or even as they're considering a move into the industry?
So mine is a different mindset, and it might be different. I mean, you guys that are under the rooftop, you might feel completely different, and you wouldn't want to dissuade someone from having the role that you put them in, or keeping the role that you put them in. But I, even when I do on-site launches for dealership teams, my first day is always like, I want to know what their why is. I want to know about them. I want to know that they're being, the buzzwords are their authentic self, or they're this, or they're that. And I want to tell people, be true to you. I want to talk to my person when I was 16. And I loved it at 16, being the night receptionist when my dad was a GM at a Buick store. That was great because everybody messed with me because I was the boss's daughter. But like when I started in Amato, and I was just out of college, and I would say I was so blessed to have such wonderful mentors in the leadership and the ownership there. And I was in a good organization, but I would suggest be yourself. Realize that first and foremost in this industry, we are people helping people, and you have to move forward with that in mind. You have to realize that whether it's the relationships that you build within the dealership and within the industry, because in our industry, it's all about the relationships we build over the years. I want you to be sure that you are true to yourself, that you're not compromising your morals or your standards or your integrity, and to always be honest and ask questions, and, just to be a sponge and take it all in, and don't be, it reminds me of when I was 24, 25 years old, and I learned to speak the Greek language because my ex is Greek. And I'm the kind of person, if you tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna master it, and then rub it in your face probably. And everybody was like, "You're not gonna learn Greek." You know how many people I know, they say they're gonna learn the language, and that's from a person who never lost his accent after 50 years here. But anyway, I learned it, and I speak like a natural Greek because I didn't let that stop me. Let them talk. Let them talk. There's going to be naysayers. Be true to you. Be a sponge. Absorb everything you can. Look at others around you. Be happy. Enjoy the journey. And those are the basics.
That's awesome. And Wendy, so since I know that when somebody tells you not to do something, you are definitely going to do it. I am going to tell you, do not fill my bank account with $100 bills.
I know,
Okay?
right? I knew that was coming.
All right. Justin, same question to you. What advice are you giving to people who are just starting out in fixed ops, are thinking about getting into fixed ops, and anybody along the way? Austin mentioned earlier, like sometimes people get in and they get out too soon, right? They get out before the real opportunities start. So how do we keep them?
Sure. You're a leader of it, as far as in an advisory role goes. You really truly have to be passionate about people. And if you are passionate about people, whether it be, your team as an advisor group, and your fixed ops management, or the customer base, right? I think Chris refers it to as rich uncle. They make deposits to your account, right? And you're a collector of customers. And the more customers you have, the better that they will be to you, that rich uncle will be to you. So I've always just, gone above and beyond to show them that once you start to serve people and you really, truly treat them like grandma, life is really easy. The sale, the delivery, having them spend, an unforeseen amount of cash or credit with you becomes not so much of a problem, right? Because you're in it with them. You're in the fight. You're trying to help them through the worst day of their life. And getting that side by side, hand in hand kind of mentality when you are serving your customer base really, really will pay you dividends that you could never think in your life. A while back, I gave my police gear to a gentleman out at one of our stores in Madisonville who his wife works for us. And I pulled my last paycheck out and I just shook my head as I think it was $1,500 for 2 weeks, of work. And so, I just reflecting on stuff like that and realizing that this industry will give back to you in ways that I never saw for myself even. And so, if you can stand the early ons and really fortitude yourself to get through it all and understand that, every day is going to be different. There's going to be some hard ones. There's going to be some good ones. But you got to take the good with the bad. You will, you can really prosper in this industry and it will be so good to you, and you can give back along the way in ways that you wouldn't think. And so that to me, that and just in the people themselves, letting them know that, I think it's John Maxwell said, I'll never want more from you than I want for you. And as long as your team thinks that of you and knows that, you're, again, just as well as you are with the customer, you're shoulder to shoulder, getting through, your days and handling your customers and getting through objectives and even on the personal level, if you're having a problem with your family and, it really is a family. You spend more time here with these people than you do with your loved ones at home. And if you can get past that and really, just find yourself in it all, it'll take good care of you for a long time.
It definitely is that kind of business. That's for sure. I know I made a couple of forays outside the business, and it always seems to pull you back into it. And when it does, it completely accepts you when you come back. So, Austin, what do you see as the future for fixed operations careers as we evolve in technology advancements, and to add to that, technology advancements and the consumer behaviors that seem to have evolved over the last few years?
Mm-hmm.
Right? We went into COVID and everybody was nice as pie. Right at the beginning of COVID, everybody was as patient as they could be. And somewhere along the lines, they left those patients at the bus stop and they're not there anymore. So how do we get through that?
Yeah, very true. So a little unsolicited advice. I want to go back to the last question because I think there's two comments I want to make. So I think people that are successful just getting in the business, there's two things you never say. And Wendy, never say these. Don't take this never as I need to say it, but it's that's not my job and that's not my customer. if you can keep those phrases out of your mouth, I think you're going to be extremely successful in this business. So, and then to answer the question at hand, there's a lot of AI advancements coming out right now, and there's a lot of different, I would say, waters for us as leaders to navigate. Not only, hey, how do these different AI components fit within our customer experience, but also what's the ROI on some of these different AI components? Some of the stores that I oversee are a little bit smaller, so the budgets are a little bit tighter. But I think at the end of the day, as much technology is going to evolve, I mean, we are created for relationships. This is a relationship business, and so Dave, you mentioned it. What piece of AI is going to talk that heat case customer off the ledge? I don't. If there's a tool out there, let me know. Send me a direct message on LinkedIn. But I think the future of fixed ops, you're going to have a lot of AI. I look at it as more like a driver assist feature. So they're working on this fully automated driving system. I don't think AI is ever going to be that for us. I think AI is going to be kind of our backboard, our checks and balances, and it's going to be tools that allow us to focus on what we need to focus on. And for me, that's providing awesome experiences for our customers. And I think this, in terms of outlook, there's people that say, oh, the advisor role is going to go away. We won't need this. We won't need that. I see the roles changing. I don't see them going away. I'll tell you this, the parts departments, there's a lot of automation in terms of inventory management, but you're still going to need people there. You're still going to need technicians. They're not going anywhere. As many over-the-air updates as you can push through, there's still going to need to be some physical labor component to that. So, that's really my outlook on the fixed operations department. I think at the end of the day, I hope, and I don't think that AI component is ever going to replace the relationships that we have with each other and with our customers.
Yeah, it's a great point. AI is not going to replace the people, right? You may lose your job to somebody who uses AI better than you do, but not to AI in general. I see AI the same as when the kiosks started coming around, right? And people were like, oh, all the advisors are going to lose their jobs. They're going to lose their jobs. And I looked at it as, seems like a pretty good addition to an advisor. You've got customers that are coming into your service drive that do not want to talk to a person. They would rather just go and drop their keys in a kiosk or the night drops, right? Instead of telling your customer, you need to be here by 6 p.m. to pick your car up, now you can come and get it whenever you want, right? You go to the night drop kiosk outside the service drive, enter your information, get your keys, pay your invoice, and see you later. Same thing with AI. It's just an assistance for us to do better for our customers. And so a question for Wendy. We have people that do, we touched on this earlier a little bit, that do want to climb that career ladder, right? And for us in leadership roles, Wendy, you as a business owner, you wanted to take control of your career path, right? You saw where you wanted to go. We all did, and we wanted to keep moving up. Not everybody does that, right? So we can't always expect that our team is going to take control of their own career path and have us sit back and go, I don't understand why they're not trying to get better, right? Maybe they just don't know how. They don't know exactly what they should be doing. Maybe they just can't visualize doing anything different than they're doing right now. And so what do we do for those team members to help them, to not just help them, but to understand whether they actually do want to advance? And if they don't want to advance, what do they need from us to be the best team member that they can be?
I love that. And that encompasses pretty much everything we talked about the last 3 days with our new teams. First and foremost, you got to ask the questions. I mean, that's a really great point. And I get distracted when I'm center screen and I have to look at myself. So that's why I'm averting my gaze. But I think that it's important to get to know our team members within the team. Maybe at the top level, you're not going to know everybody like at the lower levels, but being a sole proprietor and being the person there, I like to know myself who's coming in, because I hire the person and not the skills. But then I like to cultivate the skills because I want to grow them. Like I explained today, I said, if you guys want to spend your career with my company and grow with our company, then God bless you. And I'm happy to have you. But if you want to grow your own wings, I will help you to strengthen those wings so you can fly to new heights with whatever your goals are. So we have to ask the questions, because depending upon where they are in their life cycle, whether it's the cycle of life, as I've now seen, I'm seeing a third phase of it. We go from from being single and young and no love interests or partners or whatever, and then we start building families, and then our children get older, and we have things that we need to do with them for educational or athletics or this or that or whatever, musical, this, that, and then they're in high school, and then we have college and everything else. And different things drive us at different phases in our lives. So I think it has to be an open, constant communication, because some people don't want any more stimuli other than, like, say, for example, in my respect, it's an agent, or you got a lube tech or whatever. He might not ever want to be anything besides a lube tech. He might just want to be the absolute best lube tech you've ever had with, really great customer service. That's their prerogative. And I think it's important for us to identify that. And we need to help them where they're at. We have to meet them where they're at and have the conversations and help them to realize their own goals. What I always say, and I said this morning, like when we had a problem about a customer and how to explain to the customer, I said, look, don't worry about scripts, this, that, the other. Don't worry about your job. Worry about that we're people helping people. Worry about ultimately you're trying to help, every person in that level. But you have to put your why. I said, take your why. Why are you here? Why are you here? Put that on your computer, put it on your wall, put it on whatever. When you need that help, as you're stepping into your brilliance every day, remember your why, and that'll help you keep everything in perspective. So when you're challenged, you're going to reach out for help. You're going to help us to help you to hone your skills and be better at what you're doing. And if you want to go further, let me know that. I've got people in the 5 New group that said, yes, I'd like to go on the leadership trail. So I'm cross training them with all different things, from admin to call review. And then you want to keep testing them in different things so they can see what fits for them. And then we have to move with them. We have to make sure it's their agenda and not ours.
I love that. And knowing your why is certainly a big thing. And it's amazing how many people you can ask and they don't really understand it. They don't know what is really driving them, right? And so, Austin, hold on to that question, because I'm going to come back to you with that question after the stat of the week. Nearly 60% of dealership employees cite lack of advancement opportunities as a reason for leaving. This stat of the week is brought to you by Chameleon Driving Change. Thank you to Josh and Jim for sponsoring this stat of the week. And again, 60% of dealership employees. That's a large group of people that are leaving because they don't see opportunities for them to grow. And so, Austin, we'll come back to you with the same question that Wendy had.
That stat hit me so hard, I forgot what question I was supposed to be answering, to be honest with you. That's nuts. Give me a little refresher. Sorry.
That is a tough stat right there. That is way too many people for us to lose just because they think they can't advance when there is so much opportunity within the dealerships for them to advance. And so the question that was asked to Wendy was, now I lost my spot. Now I don't even know what I asked Wendy for a question. All right. Tell you what, Austin, we're going to ask you a new question because we both lost the question. So I want to know, as a guy who's a leader in this industry, right? How do you balance the need for technical expertise with the need for either leadership skills, communication skills, and give a sense. We're talking about career paths. Give us a brief history of how you arrived where you are.
Yeah, I mean, my career path is a little crazy. I mean, I started selling cars, for $400 a week draw, right? And moved to BDC manager, Wendy. I was for a couple months, and then a new car sales manager. And I moved into finance. And so my path into fixed ops, I went to bed a finance manager, and I woke up a service manager of a department that had about 20 plus people. So I'm not a car guy. I had never written a repair order. I couldn't. If you said what's an RO, I honestly could not have told you probably what it was at the time, but here I was. So, I think one of in terms of career progression, that's one of the things I love about the car business and why it is the best business and will continue to be the best business in the history of the world. There is so much opportunity here, and so balancing the technical expertise, I spoke earlier about some different accountability and metrics. So I think what you really need to do from a technical standpoint is lean into accountability, lean into, getting advice from your management team. Hey, where are my weaknesses? Where are my strengths? What do I need to improve on? Having weekly meetings with them, and I think for the leadership component of it, I had mentioned earlier, avoiding phrases like "it's not my job" or "that's not my customer." I think the most important thing is being a leader without the title. You can mentor someone else. You can notice when other people are having rough days and pick them up. You can help them be better. You can make sure you pick up pieces of trash that you walk by, take out the trash. There's these little things that we can do to be a leader without the title, and then the other portion, just because you don't have a leader or manager in your title doesn't mean that you can't help recruit and hire people. That's one of the biggest things to demonstrate as you move into this business is, can you attract and retain talent? So if you're showing, your management, hey, my buddy, I think he would be great at this, or, hey, I just need him to get his foot in the door. Can he be a detailer? Can he be a porter? I think those are some practical examples of A, how to balance those two. And then, B, where to really focus your time. And I would say this, I even focus on this today in the role that I'm in. I don't know what's next for me. Right. And just like I had no clue, that I was going to go to bed a finance manager, wake up a service manager. You never know, but you're always preparing for it. And you're always just taking on challenges and trying to help those people around you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Oh, where'd Justin go? We left with Justin and came back without him.
Camera dropped.
Justin is over here. He fell off for a minute. And Justin's gone again. And now Alex is Wendy. Well, isn't this interesting? All right. So I was going to pose that same question to Justin because Justin came from completely outside the industry into the industry. And so I was going to get that perspective from him, but he is not here. And so from that same 2022 McKinsey study, 63% of people who changed jobs in 2021 cited lack of advancement opportunities. Do you see a theme that's coming up here? If they don't understand that there are potential opportunities for them to advance, they leave. In that study, 35% of them said that their next job will take them off their career path. Right? So it's not necessarily that they're leaving to even go do that job somewhere else. They're going to do something totally different because they didn't see an opportunity to continue on with your dealership. And so it is really important that not only do we have career paths, but that our teams understand that those career paths are there, that they can see those career paths. They understand what they have to do to get there. To your point earlier, Austin, you mentioned, like, I don't know when I'm going to have a service manager job open, right? And the career path doesn't necessarily have to have a specific time with it, right? It doesn't have to say that over the next 2 years, if you do ABC, you will be a service manager, right? But that is going to, doing those things is going to put you in the position to be able to get into that service manager role. And Justin has rejoined us. So Alex, I'm booting you out of that spot.
So sorry. My computer stopped working for some reason.
It's all good. And so, Justin, I was going to go back to you on the question that I asked Austin, which was around the balancing the need of technical skills with the demand for leadership or communication skills. And I wanted your opinion on that because you're a guy that came from completely outside the industry and are now functioning at a very high level in not only fixed ops. Now you're in a position where you're overseeing all of it.
In that application, you're referring to how I felt the need for technical skill versus.
Yeah. So if I go with my own experience, I came from being a technician to an advisor, to a manager, to a director, right? I worked my way up through the industry that way. So when I became an advisor, I had the technical skills of understanding how to explain what breaks were to a customer.
No, absolutely. I honestly, I don't think anything is required technically. It's in my opinion, to come in and do the job of an advisor, you need to be humble enough to be able to ask a technician, look, can you walk me through this? I'm going to go sell the job for you, get your hours sold, I just need a quick explanation of what I need to go through this customer on. And I've gotten laughed at. I've sold power steering flushes on EPAS systems. I've tried to sell tune-ups on diesels, in my first couple months. It was very humbling, but I was like, y'all can laugh at me. But the funny thing is I sold it. And now I have to go talk myself out of how I took the money from this person and we can't even do the job. Right. So it's one of those things that you're going to learn. People are going to poke fun at you. You have thick skin and just take everything as an opportunity to get better. So coming into the this job from telling people what to do and where to go and how to behave on the side of the road in North Baton Rouge versus, getting yelled at and cussed at by customers, while I found my way. It was a transition to say the least. Customer service is not an easy beast to conquer. And so just having that mentality, not being afraid to ask, hey, I don't know what that acronym means. If you could, what is the effective labor rate? What is, per vehicle retail, PVR? What is, there's all the kind of stuff that you just really don't take life so serious. None of us get out of it alive, right? Take a little bit on the chin. Don't be scared to get laughed at, and once you're done through that part and you've learned it, right? Like you're only held to your own confinements. And if you are, a go-getter and you want to win, I did nothing but law enforcement. Basically, I did a little bit of oil and gas and crane and rigging for a bit, but like coming into automotive, I was lost as a puppy. But again, your Mike Vogels, there's tons of people in this industry that will just give back to you and expect nothing in return. You as well, David, and thank you for anything and everything you've ever shared with me. So it's a great family. It's a great community. And if you're willing to put your ego aside and step out and just ask a question, a lot of people will happily bless you with an answer.
Yeah, it is very true. It is a very giving industry. There are a lot of people, as is evident by three people right now sitting here giving back their time to the industry. I'm going to call out Justin for a second right now. In our April edition of Fixed Magazine, Justin is our leadership spotlight. So make sure you get your copy of that and shoot me a DM if you need a copy sent to you. And also, Austin has an article in that same edition, Tips for Success. So thank you to both for being part of our magazine. We are going to take a short 2-minute break for a super, super important announcement. Welcome to a groundbreaking edition of the Fixed Ops Mastermind, powered by OEM Interactive, where innovation meets empowerment. We're thrilled to unveil a pioneering initiative designed to revolutionize the automotive industry. We are Women Educating in Automotive Retention and Excellence. And I am here with my co-host, Katie Maris.
Oh my goodness, I am ridiculously excited to be joining you, Dave, every third Thursday on the Fixed Ops Mastermind, which is going to proudly represent women. I'm so excited.
It is something we are very excited about here also. And we are is not just an acronym, right? It's a rallying cry for progress. It represents a community where women can come together, share insights, exchange experiences, and cultivate success. Whether you're a seasoned professional or a newcomer to the industry, which we need more of, We Are offers a supportive environment where knowledge thrives, networks expand, and barriers dissolve.
Oh, and the one thing you said there is that we need more of. We need more women to see this industry for, honestly, the incredibleness that it is. And so it's going to take the ladies that join us to start sharing their stories, sharing this out on their LinkedIn networks and Facebook networks and anywhere where other women can see that we are really in a beautiful spot in the automotive space where we're finally taking some action. I see action happening all around us. Women educating in automotive retention and excellence is part of that action. So join us on this journey as we spotlight the invaluable contributions of women in fixed operations, from service to parts and far beyond. We Are is poised to reshape the landscape of automotive excellence. And together, I know without a doubt, Dave, we are going to ignite change. We're going to inspire growth, and we are going to redefine what it means to thrive in the automotive space. I am so grateful and blessed to be part of this with you.
Can we hear Dave?
Many more into the industry. Every third Thursday, it's the Women's Week. We want to spotlight the great women who are in the industry, as well as attract many more into the industry. There is a talent shortage here in the industry, and it is because there are so many great women who are not coming into the industry, and they need to be in here to help us out and make us better. So, all right, and now Justin is making this interesting for me today. All right, we got Fred and Wendy up there now. Fred, sorry, I had to put you back in the audience.
So sorry.
Testing my skills here, Justin. Testing my skills. All righty, we are
Gotta keep it sharp.
we are nearing the end, folks. And I know you all want it to continue all day, but I got to let these great people get back to work. And so, looking ahead, I want to know, Austin, what do you see as the most significant opportunities or challenges for professionals within fixed operations?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, opportunities are, and I've talked about it a little bit before, is how do we adopt AI into our processes, and how do we automate a lot of these manual labor components to, make our customer experience that much better. And then, the other opportunity is going to be that customers are keeping their car longer. So, that presents a unique opportunity for us to, service more vehicles and get into a little bit more of the heavy repair side. So now part of the challenges, it's always people, comes down to people, whether you need employees or whether you need customers. How do you get the people that you need to serve the customers, and how do you get the customers that your people need to serve? So I think hiring, training, and then retention of not only employees but then retaining customers is a huge challenge as well. And then I think both, I would say, as a challenge and an opportunity. Meeting consumer demands, and specifically, so how are we going to compete against as a dealership, how are we going to compete against, the Discount Tires, the Take Fives, the Jiffy Lubes? What are we doing to either separate ourselves from their experience, or what are we doing that is going to meet customers where they're at in terms of, hey, I can get in and out and get a little Take Five candy bar, in 10 minutes and have my car serviced. So, what are we going to do? Are we going to reinvent ourselves as a dealership model, or, are we really going to commit to, hey, we're going to give you an awesome experience here, whether it's mobile service. That'll be interesting over the next little bit to see as manufacturers peel back their support of mobile service, what continues. Because I feel like we're in a space right now with that where customers don't want to pay for it. Now the manufacturers are not wanting to pay for it. So who does that leave? Do dealers pay for it? I don't know. We'll see. So I think that'll be another, opportunity and challenge around customer experience that we'll see over the next couple of years.
Love that. All right, Justin, same to you. Significant opportunities or challenges for fixed ops in the future?
I was at some privates earlier in the month, and it's kind of mind-boggling. I went by and met a guy that I just wanted to talk to see what the temperature was for them, and they're running 65+% combined parts and service gross, a 280+ store rate with a 200%, I think it was 225% parts markup. I'm like, that is in no way, shape, or form competitive with most of my dealerships, and so it really goes back to just rolling out the red carpet, doing a good job, retaining the customer through the 336 period, selling the tires, getting that additional, wearable commodity penetration. And then having something for them to do while they're here, right? Like I'm at one of our stores, South Fork here in Manville, Texas. There's a kids' playroom. There's iPads. There's puzzles. It's like the dentist, right? It's never fun to go and sit and wait to get drilled on. But if we can make it as a positive experience as possible, that we allow them to defect the first time, and now here we are, and you go and you compare yourselves to the independents, and you're evenly priced on almost everything. You've got a master mechanic working on your vehicle, and these cars aren't getting any easier to work on. So do you really want someone that hasn't gone through the proper training by the manufacturer to touch this now $100,000 to $120,000 commodity investment that you have, that you need to get your family safely down the road in? So I think, if we do a good job, the price point, you can charge a premium for the experience. And so that's okay. If price was always the problem, Rolex wouldn't be in business. So it's, to me, providing a good experience, being, I tell everyone, always try to find a way to say yes, even if it's inconvenience. And just taking care of our customer base, we'll get them back. Anyone that has to affect it, do a good job, get out there, do some conquest marketing, do some free stuff. Everybody wants to, we're not making any money on these oil changes. Who cares? The gas station doesn't make their money on the gas. It's the chips, the Cokes, the cigarettes, whatever you want it to be. That's a loss leader. For the sake of God, just take care of the customer, give them a reason to come back to you. And when they come back to you, blow their socks off with a phenomenal experience, and they will stay. But we've got to do that part first, right? And in the world that we live in right now, even customer service people, I've found, more times than not, I don't eat out a lot, but when I do, it's very hard to find people who care about your business as much as you do. And so, going back to Wendy said, it's setting the appropriate baseline at the time of the interview. What are your caveats? Here's what you can expect of me, and I need to be able to expect the same from you. This is the line. This is how we're going to do business here at Foundation. If you're not okay with that, there's somebody else that you can go work for down the road that's going to do a bad job, and I'm okay with you being there. But here we're going to take care of our customers. We're going to be, the differentiator, not the exception, not the rule. And as long as we do that, I think we'll be fine.
Love that, Wendy, from the BDC world. What do we see in the future? Oh, can't hear you, Wendy.
I love what Justin said, and I think it's important to work on our culture, our company culture. Me, I work on my business culture because I represent our dealers. And, like when we're talking about whether it's an outbound campaign and you're saying not interested because you're being an order taker and you didn't say, and maybe they thought it was cheaper to have their oil change done at a Jiffy Lube than at the dealership. And we're not educated enough to explain to them on the contrary, an ASC certified mechanics, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we have to make sure it all starts, I think, with education, training, and coaching and process. And to your point, Austin, we did a deep dive, and Justin, you were part of this, and a number of AI products over the last 8 months. And what we realized when dealers were quick to implement in AI, to the tech point, they slowed down around the first of the year, and they were either onboarding or not implementing because they're realizing, in my mind, I used to think, you AI companies, you need a BDC brain like mine so that we can be ready to take the handoff. No, it goes deeper than that. It's at the root level at the dealership. It's like, and dare I say it, Russell, I don't even know what the right thing to say is, but when I hear somebody say you can't put lipstick on a pig, sorry, that's kind of vulgar. But I mean, if you've got something that's ugly and broken and whatever within your culture, you got to work on your culture. You got to work on your people. You got to work on your process. You got to start where you're at. If you've got people making outbound retention calls with spreadsheets and notepads, yeah, they need help. But dig a little deeper. If you also have a morale problem and you have churn because you don't see your people and appreciate them, we have to see our people and appreciate them, because it's not only money that drives them in their careers nowadays. They want to know they're part of the overall picture. They want to know that they can be in it for the long haul, and that you see them and you value them. Same as our customers. We need what we're preaching to our people to portray to our customers. We need to portray to our people. Like, we need to be a value add for them. When value exceeds whatever the price point is on a job or whatever, that's when they're going to stay with you. That's when they're going to grow with you. And I think education and training and coaching is number one moving forward.
I love it. I love all the points that every one of you just made. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time, spending the hour here with us. From myself, Dave Foy, Fixed Ops Mastermind, powered by OEM Interactive. Thank you, Austin, Justin, and Wendy, for being with us. Thank you again to our sponsor, Parts Edge, who brought you this show today. And we will take it on out. And thank you very much, everybody, for being with us today. We will see you again next Thursday for the very special We Are First Edition.
Obsessed with creating the perfect inventory? Us too. Parts Edge gives you the tools you need to outpace the competition and provide the highest level of service to your customers. Parts Edge is a powerful tool for parts managers to get the job done faster. Imagine what it was like when the impact wrench arrived. It made mechanics 3 times faster. Getting the job done without the latest technology makes it difficult to keep up. Besides all the other responsibilities you have, you work hard to have all the right parts you need when you need them. Parts Edge was designed by parts people for parts people to make that job a lot easier. Parts Edge saves you 4 to 6 hours every week and can increase your sales by 10 to 20% in just 12 months. Not bad for your bottom line. Take your obsession to perfection with Parts Edge. Call us today to find out what Parts Edge can do for you.